What's up, guys? I'm James Withy, and today we're going to talk about whether or not I ever turned down tattoo projects. Alright, so today's video is going to be about whether or not I ever turned down tattoo projects or ever refused to do a tattoo. Basically what happened right now is I just got done recording last week's video, which sounds weird to say because I just got done recording that shit like 10 minutes ago. But I walked to the gas station to go and get a fucking Sour Patch flavored Jones soda. And when I was over there at the 7-Eleven, the guy that was working there coincidentally just asked me a question where he was like, yo, do you ever have a situation, do you ever turn down tattoos that people ask you to do? Do you accept every project that walks through the door? If something seems like something you don't want to do you do it anyway, or do you refuse to do it or turn that project down, or what's the situation there? And pretty convenient question for him to ask, because that's what today's video is going to be about as a result of our conversation, because I kind of explained the shit to him, and I feel like it's got me primed as far as organizing my ideas on this particular subject. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. The structure of this video is going to go like this. First, I'm going to answer that question, whether or not I actually do indeed turn down some tattoo projects. And then I'm going to talk about, situations where artists might turn down tattoo projects. And then I'm going to talk about what you can do as the client to reduce your chances of getting turned down on a project if you have your heart set on getting tattooed by a particular artist. So first part of the video is pretty easy. Yes, I do. I turned down a lot of tattoo projects. When I was talking to homeboy at the gas station, I basically explained to him that these days, at this stage of my career, probably 4 out of 5 consultations that I do end up as a no-go as a result of me not being interested in the project. Now, this isn't because I think that the tattoo is a stupid idea. It's not because I feel like it can't be a cool tattoo. It's just that, when a tattoo artist gets to a certain stage in their career, that gets to the point to where they have more inquiries than what they're able to possibly fulfill. So I can't do all the tattoos that people ask me to do. I just simply don't have time for it. I have more people asking me to get tattooed than what my fucking 2 hands are physically capable of producing tattoo-wise. So as a result, I have to get more choosy with which projects that I do, because, it starts to kind of dawn on you that, I don't know, for instance, this year, 2019, I can only do a certain amount of tattoos. I can't do an infinite amount. I can only do a limited, relatively small amount of tattoos for the entire year. So it's up to me to decide which ones I want to do and which ones I don't want to do, provided that I have an overflow of requests. So, not every tattoo artist is in that stage of their career. Earlier in my career, I pretty much do whatever the fuck anybody wanted me to do on them. If you wanted to get, I've tattooed crazy shit on people. I've tattooed the words Justin Bieber on a fucking dude's lower back before. So yeah, I pretty much will put anything on anybody's body that they wanted, as long as they had the fucking skrill, you know what I'm saying? The paper to back that request up. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that whether or not a tattoo artist is going to turn down or refuse a project or go forward with a project is largely dependent on what stage of their career they're in, and also what their particular financial situation is. Artists, if they're hurting for money and they need to pay their rent, they're going to tattoo whatever the fuck they got to tattoo on you to make sure that they don't get that eviction notice on their front door. So their boundaries as far as what they'll do and what they won't, that shit, becomes very blurred when they start to get into a financially precarious situation. So, when an artist starts getting more established, they will have a lot of different criteria that will depend from artist to artist on whether or not they're going to accept a project or refuse a project. And what I'm going to do right now is just explain to you guys what my particular criteria are, or at least the ones that seem apparent to me at the time of writing this outline down for this video, and then we'll just go from there. The first one is going to be if the tattoo is not the right style. So most tattoo artists will only practice 1 or 2 different tattoo styles. There's an old adage that says, I would be more afraid of the person that practiced 1 punch 10,000 times than the person that practices 10,000 punches 1 time. That's a little bit Like, it kind of relates to the value of specializing in something and practicing the same thing over and over and over. If you do the same style of art over and over and over in tattooing, as an artist, you're gonna get better at that style much faster than if you try to practice like a really, really wide variety of styles. Now, you know, most tattoo artists will only do one style. Me personally, I'm a little bit more on the well-rounded side, so I usually do like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 different styles that I kind of lean more heavily towards than the other ones that I've kind of stopped doing at the beginning of last year. But yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is that, you know, if it's not a style that's in line with those 3, 4, 5 different styles that I like to do, either because I suck at the other styles that the people are requesting, or because they're just not enjoyable to me, or they're not like in line with the artistic direction that I'm trying to pursue, then I'll turn the project down. You know, if somebody asks me for geometric work, it's not really something I'm good at drawing. It takes me fucking forever to draw. I can do it okay. I can do an all right job. But when I do realistic work, I'm like a duck in the fucking water. When I do the geometric, it's just a lot harder for me. So the juice isn't worth the squeeze, if that makes any sense. And I turn those kind of projects down. Another reason why I might turn down a tattoo is if that tattoo is bad for my reputation. A really great example of that is earlier today I did a consult with a guy who's gonna get a Lilo and Stitch tattoo. I think it's just gonna be like the little animal Stitch or whatever from that fucking cartoon movie. I've never seen it before, so I'm not sure if I got the name right. But he's getting Stitch, and he had a couple of different references that he had showed me, and one of them was an actual like image of that character Stitch that was really nice and clean, and it was pretty dope. And another one was like a little scribbly red drawing that had like the shape of Stitch. It looked like a little kid drew it or something, and then it had like a little checkbox that said good and a little checkbox that said bad, and it looked like a little scribbly red drawing. Now, he told me that that's from the movie and that people that see the movie might recognize that image, but I've never seen the movie before, and this little scribbly looking red shape that looks kind of ambiguously like a little animal or monster, to me, if I saw that tattoo, even if it was executed perfectly and it was recreated exactly the way that the original image was, it's gonna look like a little scribbly, scratchy tattoo. And if whoever's viewing that tattoo has never seen that movie, they're just gonna assume that me as the tattoo artist, that I fucked up and that I made a little scratchy ass tattoo that doesn't look good. And to me, that's just not acceptable. You know, I need every tattoo that I do to be walking around out there looking pristine so that people will be like, damn, I'm going to that guy, instead of secretly thinking, man, I'll never fucking go to that dude, when really they're looking in the person's face and being like, yeah, it's all right, man. If that's what you want, then that's what you want. So I explained that briefly to him and told him, like, you know, this one I'm not willing to do, this little scribbly red one I'm not really down for, but if you want to get this other one, the regular one, then I'm hella down for that because it's probably going to be super clean. And he was okay with that when we scheduled the appointment right now, and he's coming in I think April to get it done. So that's what I'm trying to say, is that if something looks like it's not going to turn out to be like a high quality looking tattoo in the end, like, then I'm just not willing to do it. It doesn't matter if that's what the client wanted. If it's not what I want people to see coming out of my tattoo shop and out of my hands as an artist, then I'm not gonna do it, regardless of whether or not that's what the person wanted in the first place. All right, so the third reason why I might turn down a tattoo project is if the tattoo project is just something that I just literally don't enjoy doing as a tattoo artist. And any tattoo artist watching this is gonna fucking know that there are just some things that we like doing and some things that we don't like doing. You know, I'll try to give you guys some examples of it. Like, some things that I don't enjoy are like big cover-up projects that are really difficult to cover and totally mask what was under there before. Like, my official policy is I don't do cover-ups at all, but sometimes I'll make an exception if I look at the cover-up project and I think, you know what they're covering it with is really like fun for me to do, and I believe that I can make it so that this tattoo right here is a totally 100% masked like cover-up where people won't even be able to tell whatsoever what was under there to begin with. So you know, most of the time I'll just turn down a cover-up project outright, but especially so if it's like one of those cover-up projects where I gotta like layer over shit fucking 4 or 5 times just to get like the original thing to disappear, and I'm like in here, you know, working on this tattoo and just not having fun while I'm working on it. If I picture myself in that situation where I feel like this shit feels like work to me, then I'll turn down the project, because at the end of the day, I got into tattooing because I want to do whatever I want to do. I want to have fun and make money at the same time. And I feel like most other tattoo artists got into it for the same reason. So if I look at a project and I think, oh man, it doesn't really look enjoyable to me, then I'm going to turn it down. Another example of that would be like, I don't know, Celtic work. Like, a lot of tattoo artists do not like doing Celtic work. I am included in that. Like, I don't like doing all that crazy, intricate, like Irish knot stuff, because A, it's really, really difficult to do properly and execute perfectly, which, I mean, it's possible. I've done it before. I've done some Celtic work that looked really legit, But, you know, B, after you finish it, after you do that tattoo as a tattoo artist, even though it was insanely hard to do, like me personally, I look at that shit after it's done, and even if I executed it perfectly, I don't really get an overwhelming sense of accomplishment afterwards, because me personally, I just don't like that style of art very much. So I look at it, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. And I just spent all day busting my ass and fucking pinching down on the liner, like the machine with my hand, like making sure everything's super crisp on there. And it's just really, what the fuck is this? It's just really not as rewarding for me as like another style of tattooing that I might just feel like is more enjoyable in general. So, you know, Celtic work is included in that. Let me think, like cliche subject matter. Like if somebody wants to get something that has just already been done to death, like, let me try to think of a good example of that. Okay, I think I got it. So a really great example of that would be this tattoo that I've seen floating around quite a bit, where it's like a bear silhouette, but inside of the bear silhouette is like a tree line with a bunch of like pine trees and shit in a forest. You know, I've seen so many renditions of this same tattoo, like fucking countless times over the past year and a half, that if somebody asked me for it, then I would just say no, because conceptually, just like it's already been done to death. Like I can do a custom design from scratch. I can make this tattoo my own, so I'm not copying somebody else's shit, but conceptually I'm still copying it. And to me, that kind of limits how much fun I can have doing that tattoo. And it just doesn't make sense for me to like spend a bunch of time doing this tattoo that everybody's already done to death, when I can do a totally new type of tattoo that nobody's ever seen before, if I have the choice, you know? Another example of that would be like the wolf with like a bunch of trees or whatever, like morphing into the wolf. You know, I've done a couple of these just in the past year, and don't get me wrong, they were really enjoyable projects, and the tattoos fucking turned out to be really dope. Like I said, they were custom, I designed them from scratch, so I really doubt that anybody else has these exact same tattoos, because I photoshopped a bunch of shit together to make it look this way. But since I've already done 2 of them in the past year, if somebody else comes at me with one of these wolf tree projects, I'm probably gonna say no, because I've already done that shit. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a cool tattoo idea. Doesn't mean that it won't be a cool tattoo. It just means that it's something that I'm personally not interested in doing. And as an artist at this point in my career, that's my prerogative. Saying that last part right there, where I'm like, oh, as a tattoo artist, that's my prerogative, I realize that I probably sound like a huge fucking snob right now when I'm doing that. Like, there's probably a lot of people out there that might watch this video and be like, motherfucker, just be thankful that you're lucky to be able to scribble on people's skin with a fucking needle and make good money doing it, and be happy with that. Like, you chose that job. You should be able to fucking, you know, ride with whatever tattoo people bring in the door. It is what it is, man. Like, you know, I'm not really trying to like look down my nose at anybody because I'm not interested in their tattoo project. And I spent a lot of time thinking to myself like how I can turn down tattoo projects without giving people that impression and without making them feel bad about their tattoo idea. Because at the end of the day, like that's not what I want to do. I don't want to make somebody feel like their tattoo isn't a good idea just because I'm not personally interested in it. So I make sure to clarify that and explain it to people in person when I'm turning down their project. And some of them understand and, you know, are cool about it, and some people, you know, are less cool about it. Like I've had a lady one time when I was like talking about my artistic direction I want to go in and how that doesn't really align stylistically with what I'm trying to do. She straight up gave me like the, like she did one of those while I was talking, and I'm just like, fuck, man, like, I don't know how to make you feel better about it, but I'm not the fucking guy for the job, so I'm sorry. So that kind of helps me segue into the next part of this video, where, you know, if you're dead set on getting tattooed by a particular tattoo artist and you want to lessen your chances of getting turned down by that artist for a project that you're approaching them with, so there's 2 things you can do. One of them is definitely going to be that you want to do your research and make sure that you're consulting with the right type of tattoo artist to begin with. What I mean by that is, like, if you're looking to get a tattoo that's like a traditional tattoo that's an anatomical heart with a dagger stabbing through that shit, you know, if you look through an artist's portfolio and you see nothing but realistic black and gray work, and you're looking to get a color traditional heart with a dagger or whatever, you're gonna get turned down for that project when you approach that artist and say, hey, can I get this heart with this dagger or whatever? They're gonna be like, nah, I really don't do that sort of stuff. And that should be obvious because it's not in their portfolio. Another example of that is like small, like lettering tattoos or like logos or that sort of stuff. People still ask me for that shit all the time when they come into the shop and check out portfolios. Oftentimes they'll choose mine and they'll say, yeah, I want you to do it. And I don't have any of that stuff in my portfolio at all, so I kind of have to explain to them, like, I really don't do those type of tattoos anymore. In this situation though, if it's something real small and real simple, like, it doesn't hurt to ask, you know what I mean? Like, you can hit a tattoo artist up and be like, hey, you know, you want to do this little cursive name on me or whatever? Is that something that you do? Because oftentimes, like with those type of tattoos where it doesn't have a particular style to it and it's more of just kind of like a run and gun, like walk-in style tattoo, a lot of times tattoo artists won't have that stuff in their portfolio, even though they are willing to do it if they have free time and they're just looking to fill it with some sort of tattoo project that's going to produce income for them. There was a long period of time when I had those type of tattoos, like really small logo tattoos and like, you know, clovers and hearts and little cursive names and shit, a little butterfly that looks 3D like it's sitting on the skin. There was a time when I had a bunch of that stuff in my portfolio to show people that I did that type of tattoo. But then later when I started gathering more good pictures, I took that stuff out of my portfolio, but there was a transitional period where I was still willing to do that stuff, even though I was transitioning into more of like a custom type of situation where I'm only doing the stuff that I want to do. And when people would ask me for it, then yeah, I would oblige them and I would hook up those tattoos. So it doesn't hurt to ask. You can always, you know, hit an artist up and see if they're willing to, but most likely if they have like a really particular look to all their tattoos and their portfolio looks really consistent all the way across stylistically, most likely they're not going to be doing anything outside of that realm of tattoo that they're used to doing. So the second thing you can do to avoid being turned down for a tattoo project is you want to be flexible. So like if, for instance, like you're in a situation where you're thinking, all right, well, I found the tattoo artist I want to get tattooed by. This guy or this girl is the one. This is the person I want to do my shit. And I'm willing to bend a little bit their way to make sure that I get tattooed by this person. If that's the situation you're in, then you're in pretty good shape as far as avoiding being turned down for a project totally. And the reason why is because even if your original like concept or idea or the way you thought the tattoo was gonna look, even if that isn't something they would be willing to do, if you express that you're kind of open to it and flexible on the idea and shit, then the tattoo artist a lot of times is gonna come back at you with different ways of representing the same concept that's gonna make the tattoo like more in line with what they wanna do artistically while still satisfying what you want as the client in terms of what subject matter and what concept it is artistically. Artistically, did I say that shit twice? You know what the fuck I'm talking about. So, like for instance, a really good example of it is like earlier today when I was like doing that consultation for the Stitch project or whatever that I was just talking about. That project is something that has to do with his dog. I think his dog died or something and the dog's name might have been Stitch or had something to do with Stitch. But originally he was looking to get like some paw prints or whatever to represent that dog and past dogs that he had had. I think he had like 5 dogs or something he said in the past that had died and he wanted to get 5 paw prints. Now if it was just the paw prints, that's something that I probably wouldn't be willing to do just because it's kind of boring to me. Not to say that couldn't be a cool tattoo, but it's just something I've done so many fucking times that it's like, man, I don't know if I want to take this one on. In my head, I was thinking, what if I like kind of come at him with an alternative for this, where I'll tell him, you know what, instead of getting the 5 paw prints for the 5 different dogs, maybe I'll tell him get a portrait, like a color portrait or a black and gray portrait of one of the dogs, and then have 4 paw prints that represent the other dogs. Like the most recent dog would be the portrait, and then 4 paw prints that would represent the other dogs somehow like splashed around the piece, where one would be like negative space, one would be like a background darker space, one would be really small or something like that. You know, it would have 4 other paw prints that would represent all the other dogs, but it would have one main focal point of realistic imagery. And if that was the case, then I'd be totally willing to take on that project and it would still satisfy, you know, his original intention in getting the tattoo. But luckily I didn't have to, you know, even come at him with that option because he came at me with the second option of doing the Stitch thing, you know, in place of the original idea of getting the paw prints, because I think he kind of sensed that maybe I wasn't really going to take that one on. This is a longtime client that I tattooed, you know, numerous times. He likes to get tattooed by me, and he was dead set on having me be the one for the project because I'm his tattoo guy. So, you know, we kind of compromised and met in the middle there and came up with something that both I'm looking to do, willing to do, and something that he's willing to wear. And that's kind of where you want to be as the client. If you're going in and trying to get tattooed by a particular artist, you know, be open to their input and try to see if you can meet them in the middle and collaborate on a project rather than just being dead set on like, well, this is how it's going to look, this is what it's going to be. Because if you're in that situation where you're like digging your heels in real heavily on how everything is going to look, then you are raising the likelihood of being turned down on that project like exponentially. All right, so that's it for today's video. Basically what we discussed here is whether or not I do indeed turn down some tattoo projects, which the answer is yes. We've also talked about some of the reasons or factors for why I might turn down a particular project. And also I have let you guys know as clients what you can do to lessen your chances of being turned down on a particular tattoo project if you're really looking to get tattooed by a specific artist. So hopefully this helps you guys strategically plan and execute your next tattoo consult. Hopefully it helps you guys do a better job of selecting which artist to consult with in the first place. And as always with this channel, hopefully it heightens the chances of people only getting good tattoos and lessens the chances of people getting bad tattoos. And yeah, glad that I got to provide you guys with a little bit of insight as far as how my business works and you know, how I like to do things, if you're interested in that sort of thing. If you guys like the video, go ahead and hit the like button below. If you guys have any comments, if you have questions regarding this subject, let me know in the comments section. I'll do my best to answer those questions for you guys. If any of you guys out there are tattoo artists and you have additional reasons for why you might turn down a tattoo, leave that shit in the comments section too, because I feel like on this channel, you know, the more content we have in the comments section that's valuable content, like actual content from professional tattoo artists, that's a good thing, because this channel is all about arming people with knowledge and giving people the information they need to get better tattoos. You know, like I said, that's the whole goal of this channel, is for people to get better tattoos all over the world as a result. So I hope you guys enjoyed this shit. Next week we're coming at you with another one. Until then, have a nice day.